The smell of coffee and the low rumble of a coming train filled the air. A familiar always meant a new adventure was starting. My backpack surprisingly feels light even with everything I needed. It felt light on my shoulder. It was Sunday morning, and the city was just waking up, but my mind was already far away, heading straight Mojokerto. Almost a week I've been thinking about this trip makes me very happy. Almost 1 week since I last seen Ari, my friend from college. She always full of energy with a great sense of humor that could make anyone laugh. Our video calls had been full of promises to meet up and to finally try the famous chirang that she had been talking about forever. She would describe this street food so well, talking about its chewy feel and amazing savory taste that it had become almost like a legend in my mind. It wasn't just a snack, it was a sign of our lasting friendship, a promise waiting to be kept. The train ticket, fresh and cool in my hand, felt like a magic door. I chose to take the train especially for the experience. There was something really special about watching the world fly by outside the window, the steady click-clack of the wheels, a comforting song, taking me further and further from the busy city I knew, and closer the greener, more relaxed view of East Java. Traveling alone felt so good. It wasn't about getting away from anything, but about enjoying a moment to myself, a quiet journey before the lively reunion. The early morning light came through the train windows, making the seats glow softly. A few other passengers were already settled, some sleeping, others lost in book or on their phones. The gentle rocking of the train was almost like a trance, making me think. I remember all the times Ari and I had planned big adventures, most of which never happened beyond excited talks over warm, instant coffee. This trip, though, was different. It was actually happening, a real chance to connect again, to step out of our daily routines and just be there for each other. The excitement was a nice feeling in my chest, a mix of thrill for what was coming and comfort in what was familiar. As the train pulled into the station, a wave of excitement washed over me. My seat is by the window, perfect for watching everything outside. The city buildings slowly gave way to rice fields, their bright green stretching out as far as I could see, like an endless carpet. Farmers with pointy hats worked in their fields, their tiny shape against a huge open space. Villages were scattered across the land, each group of houses showing lives lived simply, far from the constant rush of the city. I watched the children waving from their front yards, their innocent smile, a clear difference from the serious faces of people on their phones. The air got noticeably warmer, carrying the earthy smell of wet soil and distant cooking fires. It was a nice change, a gentle reminder that I was truly leaving my usual life behind. The landscape changed slowly, the concrete fading into more natural colors, the sound of far-off traffic replaced by birds chirping and the occasional moo of a cow. Every mile felt like shedding city worries, a slow process of relaxing. I felt a sense of calm settle over me, a peace that only comes from really being on the move, with a clear place to go and cherish reunion waiting. Ari and I almost always together, whether it's class or hangout. We often pulling each other into sudden adventures. We shared wins and losses, celebrated small successes, and felt sad together over heartbreaks. Our friendship was built during shared experience. Upon that, time and distance had only made stronger. Life has a way of shaping, slowly changing our views, adding new parts to who we are. Would we still be the same? Will our jokes still the same? These questions running around in my head, a mix of excitement and a little bit of nervous memory. The trip felt both incredibly long and surprisingly short. One moment I was lost in thought, the next the conductor's voice echoed through the train car, saying we were almost in Mojokerto. My heart jumped a little. I gathered my things, my backpack suddenly feeling heavier with the thought of seeing her soon. The train slowed down, the steady clatter of the wheels becoming a soft rumble. The platform came into view, a blur, movement turning into clear people. A nervous flutter started in my stomach, the kind you get before a big moment, even a happy one. Stepping into the platform of Mojokerto stations was like entering a different world. The air was thick with the smell of diesel and something faintly sweet, maybe from a food stall nearby, unlike the busy, impersonal main station I was used to. Mojokerto station had a charming, almost sleepy feel. The platform was less crowded, the announcements softer, and everything seemed to move slower. I looked at the faces in the small crowd, a smile already forming on my lips, and then I saw her. She saw me and her face broke into that familiar wide grin. "Finally," she shouted, her voice easily carrying across the platform. She walked quickly towards me and we do a fist bump like every time we met. "You made it," she exclaimed, pulling back and patting me on the shoulder. "I thought you would get lost somewhere between the rice fields and the buffaloes." Her eyes sparkled with that familiar teasing look. I laughed and then I said, "Very funny, the train ride was actually quite peaceful, but I'm starving. And I'm ready for that cheering you've been talking so much." My stomach made a timely rumble, proving my point. Ari's eyes lit up. "Don't worry, it's worth the wait, but first let's get some proper breakfast. I know just the place." She pointed towards the exit, already excited to start our Mojokerto food tour. We walked out of the stations, the morning sun already high, casting long shadows. Ari's car, a simple but well-kept family car named Avanza, was parked right outside. As we drove through the streets of Mojokerto, I took in the sight. It wasn't a huge city, but it had its own dignity. The buildings were a mix of old Dutch colonial style and newer, more modern ones. The streets were cleaner, less crowded than what I was used to, and life seems to move at a slower, more relaxed pace. Ari pointed out important places, telling me bits of local histories and stories about her life here. The city felt like a gentle hug after the constant energy of my own city life. I noticed the detailed carvings on some of the older buildings, the bright colors of the street art, and how the morning light came through the tree leaves lining the main roads. It was a city that invited you to slow down, to look around, to just be. She showed me an old mosque with a unique dome, a busy traditional market, and a quiet street where she used to live. Its story painted a picture of a life lived here, deeply connected to this place, a clear contrast to my own more moving around life. "So how's life really been for you?" I asked, leaning back in the seat. "Cannot complain," she said, turning the car easily. "My love life is not good just like you, but at least my family is good. Just trying to keep up with everything, you know how it is. But enough about me, what about you? Still chasing those big city dreams," she said. We talked about everyday things as we drove, easily falling back into our old rhythm. The conversations flowed smoothly, broken by comfortable silence. Soon we arrived at our destinations, Alun-Alun Mojokerto. Alun-Alun was full of activity. The main square, a huge green lawn, surrounded by tall trees, already had people scattered around. Families were out for their morning walks, children chased pigeons, and sellers were setting up their stalls. The smell of various Indonesian breakfast foods floating in the air. The atmosphere was lively, bright, and truly Indonesian. It felt like the heart of the city beating with the rhythm of daily life. The air here felt fresher, cooler than at the stations, and the distant sound of traffic were replaced by the happy chatter of families and the calls of vendors. The sound, now higher, filtered through the leaves of the grand banyan trees that stood guard around the square. making changing patterns of light and shadow on the grass. The sounds were a symphony of everyday life, the soft clinking of spoon against bowl, the low hum of conversation, the joyful squeals of children. Ari led me to a small simple food stall on the edge of the square, its tables already filling up. "This is it," she announced, gesturing grandly. "Best nasi pecel in Mojokerto, hands down." Nasi pecel, a traditional Japanese dish of rice served with boiled vegetables, peanut sauce, and various side dishes, was exactly what I needed. The warm rice, the slightly spicy and nutty peanut sauce, the crispness of the vegetables, it was a perfect mix of taste and textures. The smell alone was enough to make my mouth water. The peanut sauce, rich and fragrant, stuck to the boiled spinach, long beans, and bean sprouts, while slices of tempeh and a perfectly fried egg completed with the meal. Every bite was a burst of real Japanese flavor, comforting and energizing. We ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes, enjoying the food before this conversation started up again. "Okay, so now that we had proper food," I said, wiping my mouth with a tissue, "where's the legendary churang?" My eyes searched the nearby stalls, eager to find the source of Ari's favorite snacks. Ari grinned, a look of triumph in her eye. "Right this way, my friend. Get ready to have your taste buds blown away." Her excitement was contagious. She led me to a small chart, different from the other food stalls, where a man was skillfully frying small, oddly shaped pieces of tofu in a bubbling wok. The smell was amazing, a mix of savory spices and hot oil. This was it, the big moment. The seller was practiced moves, scooped the freshly fried churang onto a plate, their golden brown surfaces shining. "This is churang bumbu rujak," Ari explained, pointing to the chart. "The churang itself is made from tapioca flour, so it's super chewy, but the magic is in the rujak sauce, a sweet, spicy, tangy mix that takes it another level." She handed me a piece still hot from the oil. We ordered a generous amount. The churang, fresh from the wok, was golden brown and slightly puffed up. I took one still hot and dipped it into the thick, dark red sauce. The first bite was a revelation. The outside was crispy, giving way to an incredibly soft, almost jelly-like inside that was surprisingly light. And the sauce, it was indeed a complex blend of sweet palm sugar, fiery chili, tangy tamarind, and a hint of garlic. It coated the churang perfectly, creating an addictive combination of textures and flavors. The first sweetness turned into a gentle heat, followed by a refreshing tang, all working together with a unique feeling of the churang. It was unlike anything I had tasted before, a true example of local street food art. "Well?" Ari asked, watching my reaction with an amused look, a trim hand smear on her face. "You were not kidding," I managed to say, my mouth full. "This is incredible. I might need to move to Mojokerto just for this churang." I took another bite, already hooked. She chuckled. "Told you so. It's a local treasure. You cannot come to Mojokerto and not try it." She grabbed another piece, clearly enjoying my reaction as much as the snack itself. We spent a good half hour standing by the chart, eating the churang, our talk broken by happy sighs and shouts of delight. It was a simple pleasure, but one that felt deeply satisfying, fulfilling a long-standing promise and making our easy friendship even stronger. The busy sound of the alun-alun faded into the background as we focused on the pure joy of the moment, two friends sharing a simple, delicious experience. After our churang feast, Ari suggested we go to a cafe she knew. It's called 8 Meter. She said it's a bit hidden, but it's quiet, has good coffee, and we can actually talk without shouting over a crowd. The drive to 8 Meter Cafe took us through narrower streets, past houses and small businesses. The cafe itself was tucked away, almost hidden behind a row of older buildings. From the outside, it looked plain, with a simple front of dark wood and glass, but stepping inside was like entering a peaceful of heaven. The inside of 8 Meter was a wonderful surprise. It was spacious, with high ceiling and a cool industrial look softened by warm lights and lots of potted plants. Exposed brick walls had abstract art on them, and comfy armchairs were spread around, inviting people to stay a while. The smell of fresh coffee hung in the air, mixing with a faint, sweet smell of pastries, soft taste, played very quietly, creating a calm and thoughtful atmosphere. It was the perfect place for a long, relaxed conversations. The large windows offer glimpse of the quiet street outside, a gentle reminder of the world beyond. Yet the cafe like a peaceful bubble protected from its rust. We found a cozy corner table by a large window, bathed in a natural light. We ordered our drinks, a strong iced coffee for me and a creamy latte for Ari, and a plate of local pastry to share. As a barista worked her magic, the steady hiss of the espresso machine, a shooting background sound, we settled in, a comfortable silence falling between us, a quiet start to the deeper talks we both knew were coming. So, Ari began, stirring her latte. How's college really been treating you? Beyond the cannot complain I could, and swear about our English lit classes. She leaned forward slightly, her gaze serious. I smiled, and I said, fair enough, it's been quite a journey, that's for sure. Lots of figuring things out, some unexpected turns. What about you? Ari chuckled. It's demanding. Long hours in the library, tight deadlines for essays, the usual student grind, but there's a certain satisfaction on it. Seeing the themes click, making sense of complex narratives, I've learned a lot about critical thinking and about managing what professors expect, both my own interpretation and theirs. She paused, looking out the window at the quiet Mojokerto streets. Sometimes I look at the city, its slower pace, and I wonder if I made the right choice diving into such an intense major. But then I remember the challenge, how I've grown through analyzing those tricky texts, and I know it's where I need to be right now. There's a different kind of fulfillment in understanding something deeply, even if it's just a poem, and seeing how your efforts make a difference in your grades. I share my own journey, my academic path, less straight than Ari's, even though we were in the same university. For me, it's been a lot about finding my own rhythm after studying university. There were a few courses that just didn't click. I had to learn to be patient, to trust the process, and to change my study methods when things were not working. It's been a constant stance between wanting to achieve high marks and accepting that sometimes it's okay to just pass. I told her about a recent group project on a classic novel that had pushed me to my limits, forcing me to learn new skills and face my own doubts about my abilities to interpret. It was hard, but the feeling of getting through it, of seeing something we poured our effort into actually happen, was amazing. It taught me a lot about what I'm capable of, about pushing past what I thought were my limits. The fear of failing a literature exam is always there, but so is the excitement of acing a presentation on a Shakespeare's play. We talk about more personal parts of our lives as students. We discuss how our family relationships had changed as we spend more time away at university, the subtle shift with parents and siblings as we navigated this new independence. Ari spoke the joys and difficulties of living in a new city for college, of making a temporary home here in Mojokerto, and the unexpected happiness we found in the quiet moments between classes. It's different from high school days when every weekend was just about hanging out, she thought aloud. Now, an adventure might be finding a new coffee shop like this one to study in, or just having a peaceful evening in my dorm, lost in a good book, and honestly, I wouldn't trade it. There is a deeper meaning to it, a feeling of independence that I didn't fully appreciate before. She talked about the community of English students in Mojokerto, how classmates help each other with essays, ideas and this simple choice of campus, even like poetry readings. I shared my own experience with friendship and relationship at university, lessons I learned from both good times and heartbreaks, and how each connection had shaped how I understood myself and others. We talk about how hard it is to keep friendship alive when you are both busy with different majors and activities, and how important it is to make time for connections like this one. It's easy to let college life get in the way, I admit it, but moments like this where you can truly sit down and talk are priceless. They remind you of who you are and where you've come from. It's funny, Ari thought, leaning back in her chair, a thoughtful look on her face. Back in high school, we thought we had all the answers. We were so sure of ourselves, so certain of what college life would be like. We were all about big plans, huge goals for our English literature degrees. And now I ask, no, she said, a soft smile playing on her lips. I think we were just figuring it out one semester at a time, but at least we were figuring it out with a little more wisdom, a little more humbleness, and a lot more appreciation for the simple things, like a good cup of coffee and a great friend. She vaguely pointed towards the window, towards the city outside. This place, Mojokerto, has a way of keeping you grounded. It reminds you that university life doesn't always have to be a race. It's about finding your own speed, whatever that may be, and enjoying the learning journey. She spoke of the peacefulness of the rice fields around the city, the rhythm of local life, and how it had subtly changed her own perspective on academic pressure and the pursuit of knowledge. We talked about our dreams, both the ones we still held onto and the ones that had changed or faded with me. Ari spoke of her desire to eventually pursue a master's degree in literature, maybe even teach or work in publishing after graduation, using her English literature knowledge but on her own terms. It's a slower way to grow here, maybe, she admitted, but it feels more stable, more in line with the pace of life I'm starting to appreciate. I want to build something that helps this community, something that feels meaningful beyond just getting a good job, perhaps contributing to local arts and culture. I share my hopes for continuing creating writing projects, for making a real difference through my future work, and for continuing to learn and grow wherever my studies might take me. We discuss how our different interests within English literature will changing the difficulties and changes that lay ahead in our future careers, and how we imagine dealing with them. The conversation flowed easily, moving between light-hearted jokes and deep thoughts. There were moments of shared laughter that sounded like our early college days, and moments of quiet understanding where just a look was enough to share a feeling. We talked about the state of the world, our hopes for the future, and the small, everyday joys that made student life worth living. It wasn't just catching up, it was a deep, meaningful exchange, a confirmation of the bond that had formed so many years ago. The hours flew by, filled with shared stories, advice, and the comforting presence of a friend who truly understood. As the afternoon light began to soften, casting long shadows across the cafe, we realized hour had passed. The plate of pastries was long empty, and our coffee cups were cold. Yet the warmth of our conversation stayed, a comforting glow in the quiet space. The soft jazz continued to play, a gentle soundtrack to our reunion. I'm so glad you came, Ari said, a genuine warmth in her voice. It's good to know some things never change, even if everything else does. She reached across the table and pat my arm. Me too, I replied, feeling a deep sense of happiness. This was exactly what I needed, and that cheering, seriously, I'm still thinking about it. A smile touched my lips at the memory of the delicious snacks. She chuckled. See, I told you, Mojokerto has its charms. Her eyes held a hint of pride for her city. Our time at Lapan Meter Cafe felt like a bubble, a safe place from the outside world where time seemed to slow down, allowing us to truly connect. It wasn't just about the stories we shared, but unspoken understanding, the shared past, and the comfort of knowing that no matter how much time passed or how far apart we were, our friendship remained a constant, strong presence. As we finally stood up to leave, stretching our bodies after hours of sitting, I felt lighter, with a renewed sense of connection that only true friends can give. The day was far from over, but the main part of my visit, the deep, meaningful reunion with Ari, had already gone beyond all my hopes. The promises of future visits and maybe even more cheering hung in the air as with anticipations for what was next.